Am I the a-hole for cheating on my wife? Throwaway, because my wife browses Reddit, and she'll know this is about her straight away. Sorry for any formatting errors. I'm on mobile. TLDR at the end, etc. First of all, I know I'm not perfect, but please hear me out. I don't know where to start, so I'll just get the elephant in the room out of the way. I've, 29 male, been cheating on my wife, 31 female, for a little over a year now, with another woman, 20 female, that I think I love. My wife and I met in college, UK. I think that's high school in America, and dated for about 2 years before I proposed. Things were smooth for almost a year before my wife seemed to change. She was constantly rude, nagging at me for anything, making belittling comments. I began to spend more time at work to avoid her constant negativity. She was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder and bipolar disorder. Still, I was sure we'd work through it, so I stayed with her. I believed I still loved her. 2 years after her diagnosis, my dad died in a car crash. While I was distraught, I couldn't help but notice that my wife seemed almost glad. She'd never mentioned an issue with my parents, but anytime I seemed sad about it, she'd say something like, "It's for the best," or "You should get over it soon." My brother took this loss harder than I did and turned to alcohol. As a favor, I took him in when his landlord turned him out. I work a lot. My wife owns her own business and often works from home. I wrongly assumed that I could leave the two of them together. But while I was away, they would have sex. I found this out from a neighbor who walked in on them when asking for a parcel. I also later found out he had been stealing from us as well. As any sane person would, I kicked him out of my home. I tried to file for a divorce, but my wife went through an awful depressive episode lasting almost a month. I dropped the ideas about a divorce. For a while, things seemed to go back to how they were when I was 20. Things were going great at work, and I was climbing the ranks. We just moved into a new house closer to my work. My wife had begun branching out and now owned 2 or 3 shops in the city. She was on a new medication that made her a much more pleasant person. Our sex life was great. And then we found out she was having a baby. I was ecstatic. I love kids. My wife and I had always wanted a kid, but every time we tried it hadn't worked. Soon enough, our son was born. Over the course of his first couple of months, I began to have doubts that he was really my son. I put this off as first kid worries or whatever, and continued my life. Until one evening, my wife sat me down and told me the kid was my brother's. Her reasons were that she knew I'd always wanted a kid, and that our DNA was too close for it to make a difference. Never mind the fact that meant she was sleeping with my brother again. Again, I distanced myself. I tried to file for a divorce again, but my wife returned to her depressive state, so once again I dropped it. One night after an argument, I left the house with no intention of going anywhere and ended up in a bar. I got talking to a girl, and we had a one-night stand. I couldn't help but think of my wife the whole time. And yet, a week later, I slept with her again. She told me things about herself. She was living with her cousin, she worked 2 jobs to put herself through uni. She felt like she was alone in the world. Our one-night stand became a whole relationship, and I realized that I was cheating on my wife. It became a lot easier when I made her my secretary. I don't want to explain many details about our relationship. She was by no means at fault. I didn't tell her I had a wife until a month or so before I gave her the job. I didn't tell her about my son until our first argument. I was spending a lot more time at work, and my wife began getting suspicious. She stopped taking her meds, telling me they clouded her thoughts, and refused to speak to her psychiatrist. Still, she doesn't know about the other woman. Really, I know I'm at fault for a lot of this. The tragic backstory or whatever doesn't let me off. But I really do think I'm in love with the woman I'm cheating with, and I don't know what to do. TLDR, my wife, who suffers from multiple mental illnesses, has put me through numerous hardships, and now I'm cheating on her. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Guy writes 15 paragraphs to justify cheating. You're the a-hole for cheating instead of just leaving. I feel like this is a validation post, and everyone sucks here. If you're unhappy, then leave. Everyone sucks here. If she's cheating, it doesn't give you a free pass, unless you've converted to an open relationship, which you obviously haven't. Everyone sucks here. Dude, just leave. Get a divorce lawyer, get divorced, and get therapy. Holy Jesus. You're the a-hole for how you've treated this new young woman, withholding your life circumstances until she was firmly entangled, and now she even has to please you to remain employed. She definitely deserves better than you. Your wife and brother are a-holes in this too, so really, almost everyone sucks here. But I really wanted to make sure somebody addressed the actual victim in this, and it's not you. Our one-night stand became a whole relationship, and I realized I was cheating on my wife. Like, just screwing around wasn't cheating? There's no score where you're not an a-hole until you've hurt the other person more. Obviously, everyone sucks here, but right now, you're the a-hole. OP, you're the a-hole. Cheating on your wife is never justified, regardless of the circumstances or the problems in your relationship. It's clear that there are significant issues in OP's marriage, but cheating is not the solution. Instead of addressing those problems directly and seeking counseling or support, OP chose to betray their wife's trust and engage in a relationship with another woman. OP not only created a power imbalance in the workplace for the woman they were cheating with, who may feel that she has to continue seeing them to keep their job, but OP made her the other woman without her knowledge by not telling her that they were already married. Two wrongs don't make a right, and OP's actions only compound the pain and damage in their marriage. If OP is truly unhappy, it's important to have an honest conversation with their partner and consider ending the relationship before pursuing another one. Am I the a-hole for siding with my friend after he cheated on his wife? Throwaway account for anonymity. My 27 male friend, 24 male, and his wife have been married for 3 years and have 2 small babies. Recently, another woman reached out to his wife to tell her that a few years back, while they were living in separate states, he was in the military. They slept together. This has caused a great deal of havoc to their marriage, and things have been super tense. However, the wife has been extremely toxic lately, and although I understand she is hurt, she's taking advantage of this situation to get her way on everything. Most recently, she basically guilt-tripped my friend into buying an expensive cat because, in her words, she deserves it. They already have 5 other cats and 2 small babies, and not a lot of economic resources to add another expensive cat into the mix. My buddy agreed as a way to keep the peace. He's trying to save his marriage, but at what cost? She's doing whatever she wants, leaving him the kids to go out late, making him do extra work around the house, even though he works a very physical job, and now the whole cat situation. I told my wife the situation and how I think she is being unreasonable, but my wife says that his wife is probably very hurt and isn't dealing well with all the emotions that come from finding out he cheated. As I said, I can empathize, but this is no excuse to treat my friend like dirt. There's a healthy and unhealthy way to deal with the situation, and she's choosing the unhealthy way to go about it, causing more damage. My wife is now mad at me. She said she will take the wife's side on everything and support her in whatever she needs. He's the one that messed up after all, and he needs to deal with the consequences of his actions. She said he should give her whatever she wants. But where do you even draw the line? When will he stop paying for a mistake from years ago? This has now created a rift between me and my wife, but I don't think I'm being the a-hole here for taking my friend's side. Look, I know what he did was awful, but 2 wrongs don't make a right, and she's just being spiteful and selfish, getting her way in everything she wants and guilting him into big decisions that will only hurt their family even more. Top comments. You're the a-hole. This is no excuse to treat my friend like dirt. My dude, it absolutely is. You're right that his wife is not reacting appropriately, since this marriage is clearly long dead. She should just divorce him, but your friend is the one responsible for killing it, and now he has to face the consequences of his own actions. I can understand helping him out if he needs a place to stay or something, but do not take his side. He is absolutely the one in the wrong. Plus, OP's wife is probably reading him taking his friend's side, as indicating that he's totally okay with the idea of cheating. You're the a-hole, by the way, OP. Exactly, because he clearly is okay with it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be asking questions like, how long does he have to pay for a mistake that happened years ago? Your wife is right, and hopefully she sees you for who you are now. You're the a-hole. Those comments always get me. Okay, the activity happened years ago, but wife just found out about it, so her hurt is recent and ongoing. And the husband never came clean. He would have lied to her forever. The only reason she found out was because the woman reached out. This isn't just about the cheating, though that alone is more than enough. It's also about the fact that the person who claims to love her, who she shares children with, is a wretched freaking liar who didn't even have the decency to tell her when he cheated on her. He spent years lying to her and would have continued for the rest of their lives if he could have. It's also sketchy to me that the other woman came clean now, supposedly years after the fact. Sounds more like they've had an ongoing thing and she finally ended it for one reason or another and decided to go scorched earth. While it's important for OP to support their friend, it's crucial to recognize he made a significant mistake by cheating on his wife. His wife is understandably hurt and dealing with a range of difficult emotions. It's not fair to dismiss her reactions as being toxic or spiteful. Instead of taking sides, it would be more helpful to encourage open communication and seek professional help, such as couples therapy, to navigate the challenges they are facing. Blaming the wife and disregarding her emotions will only further damage their relationship and exacerbate the rift between OP and their partner. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend's boyfriend she cheated? I really gotta know, because I'm getting a lot of stick for this right now from my friend group and my older sister. Fake names. Context. My group and I went out to eat 2 weeks ago, and after that we went clubbing. Anna, the cheater, disappeared from the group for about 15 minutes. We were concerned, but not that surprised because she's known for disappearing to the dance floor when clubbing. At the same time, there's the never leave a girl alone rule, so we went on a proper manhunt for her when we found her with a group of boys and 2 girls on the second floor. I'm going to skip forward. A couple of my friends in this group of boys were hitting it off. Keep in mind, this group was very suggestive. They had been from the start, so me, Beth, and Kathy, girls from my group, were confused as to why Anna was with them in the first place. We all go to the same train station, and suddenly Anna and one boy walk off with no explanation. Like I look up and they're just rushing off without a word. Without too much explanation, we hear noises and giggles. She yelped at one point, and she answered our "Babe, are you okay?" text with, "Yeah, babe, back in a sec, having a cigarette," which means she was lying to us, yet we all knew. Needless to say, none of us were surprised. She's always been suggestive with other men while in a relationship. I don't want anyone thinking we left a drunk girl to be taken advantage of either. She drank the least out of all of us, as she's on a tolerance brink anyway. This has been a common misconception when I tell people. So back to the title. I told her boyfriend. I told him everything, the same way I told you guys, with no sugarcoating. While telling him, I felt genuinely scared and sick, because I know word would go around that I told him. But that's because we've been close for years, as well as collectively went to the same school. Since then, I've had nothing but backlash, including my sister, who told me I should have just minded my business. And everyone cheats, so why would I screw up my best friend like that? Beth and Kathy seemed to support me to my face, and backchat about me being a pick-me. I'm really conflicted now, because when I first told him, I thought I did the best thing I could, and it was better he found out. But now I'm wondering if it would have been better if I kept my mouth shut and let him live in ignorance. Anyways, opinions? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Any victim of cheating would love and prefer to be told right away. Not everyone cheats. Some unfortunately do. Doesn't make it any okay thing to do. Common sense, honestly. But some people still have adolescent mindsets. Gaslighting at its finest. I love your sister's line of everyone cheats. No, honey. Good people don't cheat on their significant others. Neither do people who believe in committed relationships. Personally, I think you may have violated the girl code about not snitching, but at the same time, I would want to know if my significant other was cheating. It's true you didn't literally see her kissing or in bed with someone else, but there was a strong implication that something was going on. Do I really think you're the a-hole? Not really, no. But maybe you should have talked to the cheater before going to our BF about what you saw and how you felt about it. I have to say, not the a-hole, because girls that believe cheating is okay honestly wreck good men for the rest of us. And the same goes the other way, honestly. Maybe next time, however, talk to your friend first before BF. Very good point. I do regret not fully talking to her about it beforehand, but honestly, stuff like this happens so often, I just got frustrated. That's my bad on my half, but I guess it's done now. Girl code, bro code, toxic BS. Do what's right, regardless of genitals or gender identity of the individuals involved. The situation was clearly infidelity, even if she wasn't sure if they actually screwed. The guy deserved to know, and the girl deserved to get caught. Not the a-hole. This girl isn't your friend. She's inconsiderate of you on a night out. She's cheating, doing something wrong. The girl that cheats on her boyfriend will still screw you over as well. I've made the mistake of thinking the friend who's a poor significant other is a good friend. They just haven't screwed you over yet. Yeah, honestly, she's been doing weird stuff for a while. She left me to sleep in a train station once because she made us miss the last train and went to sleep at a boy's house. If I didn't have money for an Uber, she genuinely would have left me to sleep there. Not the a-hole. Opie did the right thing by telling Anna's boyfriend about her cheating. Loyalty should not come at the cost of enabling dishonesty and betrayal. It's understandable that Opie felt scared and sick about the potential backlash, but it's important to prioritize honesty and integrity in relationships. Opie's sister and others who criticize them for telling the truth may have a different perspective, but it's crucial that they stick to what they believed was right. Cheating is not acceptable. It's better for the boyfriend to know the truth rather than living in ignorance. Good for OP for not letting the opinions of others compromise their values. Am I the a-hole for helping my son avoid his family after his wife cheated? I don't really feel great about throwing this on the internet, but everyone is too pissed to talk to me, so this is about what I've got. My son and his wife have been together for 6 years, and have a little 4-year-old girl. They've had their problems every once in a while, but to me, it seemed like they always worked through it. I know he absolutely loves her, and I thought they were very close. But 3 days ago, my son came to my door at 10 at night, drunk, sick, and in complete tears. I guess she had been cheating on him for some time, and during an argument, she finally admitted it. He just fell apart. He could barely breathe right. I cleaned him up and put him in bed, and that's about where he's been since. He looks ill. He won't eat. I've never seen him so upset. His wife and her family were calling us both repeatedly, but we just didn't deal with it at first. He was devastated. I wanted him to have a moment to gather himself. This morning, I bit the bullet and answered her call. She was angry he had walked out and left her with their daughter, and said she just wanted to talk this out like adults. I told her that she could talk to him when he chose to contact her, and that I think he'd want to work something out, but she needed to give him some space. She got more upset, and I told her I wouldn't talk if she was going to throw a fit, so she hung up. I don't know what she told her family, but I've since gotten calls from her mother begging me not to let him leave her and their daughter. Her sister called to berate me for protecting a deadbeat father. They're all freaking out. He isn't abandoning his family. His life has been turned on its head, and I want him to save some time to find his feet. It's just been 3 days. It's not like he's run away. But now everyone is angry at me for letting my son leave his daughter, which he absolutely adores that little girl. He'd never just up and leave. So am I the a-hole for letting him stay with me to get away from his family? I know it leaves his wife in a tight spot, but it's been 3 days, and she hardly works part-time. It's not like he's left her with an impossible task. And I absolutely intended to have my son deal with this. But I just can't see him feel like this, and I don't think he could have any meaningful conversation this way. What should I do? I'm not trying to let him hide from his responsibilities, but he's hurting and needs time to breathe. Some additions and edits for clarity. Of course, we've discussed the possibility that his daughter might not be biologically his, but he doesn't plan to abandon her regardless. He loves his little girl, and would despite anything. And as far as if her family knows the full story, I have no clue. I haven't even tried talking with him yet. Top comments. Not the a-hole. He isn't opting out of being a father. He's taking the time he needs to process information. He does need to get his stuff together quick and go be a father again. He needs to divorce her, collect evidence, hire a lawyer, and get a DNA test done on his daughter. His wife has been cheating for some time. I would definitely double check. That's up to the dad. He doesn't have to do this. He could be fine not knowing this part. If he loves his daughter as is, and knowing would only change things for the negative. If he's able to put what he knows aside and not be plagued by the thought, what a saint. People have done this forever, before DNA tests existed. Sometimes not knowing is the better choice. It's not up to anyone else to decide but the dad, or the daughter, eventually. Not the a-hole. Opie is doing the right thing by supporting their son during this difficult time. It's understandable that he needs space and time to process the emotional shock caused by his wife's infidelity. It's important to prioritize their son's mental and emotional health before addressing the situation with his wife and daughter. Opie should encourage him to seek professional help to navigate through his feelings and make informed decisions about his future. While it's understandable that his wife's family is concerned, they should also respect your son's need for space and refrain from making assumptions or passing judgment. Ultimately, the decisions regarding their relationship and their daughter's well-being should be made by your son and his wife, or potential ex-wife, once they are both in a better state to communicate effectively. Opie should continue to be there for their son by offering support and guidance, and allowing him the time he needs to heal. Am I the a-hole? I want nothing to do with my BFF's cheating husband. My BFF, 28 female, and I, 28 female, have a friendship that goes back 20 years. Her and her husband started dating freshman year in college, and were married about a year and a half ago. We have our friendship, plus a long time of being couple friends. About 3 months ago, my BFF called me devastated. Her husband admitted to an affair. He leased an apartment and leaving their marriage. My BFF swore us to secrecy because of the shame of the affair. 2 nights after he left, he came crawling back. He was afraid he couldn't afford the apartment he leased. She took him back. They've been in couples therapy and individual therapy since. I voiced concern for her because I didn't trust his motivation for coming back. But I told her, and I've been telling her, that it's not my marriage, and they need to do what's best for them, and I hope they find healing in therapy. He also quit his job as per her request, to cut off contact with the other woman. So now she's the sole breadwinner, paying for their household and his impulse apartment. Her and I have been talking, and I try my best to stay neutral and supportive. She tells me about processing her anger, and I just say things like, I bet it's hard, and what you're feeling is normal. She'll tell me about the progress he's making, and I'll say things like, that's good, and she picks my responses apart, accusing me of being against him. I try to keep conversations focused on a variety of topics, and ask her about herself and her healing journey. She doesn't really have much interest in my life or what I'm going through in my own things. It's become exhausting for me to talk to her. They have a wedding coming up that they're both in. The wedding is taking place in the town I live in. She wanted to know if they could see us while we're in town. I told her I'm not ready to see her husband, and my husband is definitely not ready to see him. She was very upset at my response that I'm not ready to see her husband, and accused me of punishing her for staying with him. I said, I'm very impressed and respect the work she's doing and don't judge her at all. I'm just not ready to see him. The incident really ruined his character to me. I told her there are 2 separate people that I hold in separate esteem, and what I think of him is not a reflection of her. I've also told her many times I care about him as a person, and I hope he finds healing in this process too. I don't know when I'll be ready to see him, but it's just not now. She was upset with my response, and the conversation ended. Today, her husband messages me and asks to talk, and he doesn't want me punishing his wife for his mistakes. I didn't respond to him, but sent her a message letting her know that I wasn't happy my boundary of not wanting to talk to him wasn't respected. I want to be a supportive friend, but I'm at my wit's end. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. If he doesn't want his wife punished, then he can take a dip while she meets with you. But you're completely in your rights to not want to be around him. Tell your friend you love and care for her, but not him, and now you no longer trust him. Maybe someday you will again. But since you aren't in love with him, it's going to take you a lot longer than it takes her. Exactly. Why can't he let OP hang out with her friend alone? If I were him, I wouldn't want to be around the people who know the ugly truth. Because he wants everyone to pretend he didn't do anything, and OP is ruining his plans. It sounds to me like he went back because he's broke, not because he cared. Yep, he wants to remain as the good guy he thinks he is in everyone's eyes. See, these issues are never likely to happen to me with my friends because they all know there are no second chances for my partner if it's about cheating. And if I ask an opinion, idea, or advice, I only ever want the truth and what they think. If I find out a friend knew my partner was cheating and didn't tell me, the partner is gone and the friendship is over with the friend who didn't tell me. All my friends know to tell me if they ever knew. Trust is everything to me. You can't build anything without it. If you know your friends well enough, you know how your response is going to be taken when you or they tell this news. I have friends who have told me their partner cheated, and I asked if they wanted me to help plan partner's life to implode further. I knew those friends would be done with their partner and would want some mild revenge. Other friends just want a vent and or want sympathy, and I know they won't leave their partner, so I just listen. I don't say leave their cheating arse or anything negative about partner because I know they won't leave their partner. Those friends have never told me they want me to tell them their partner is cheating if they were. If they aren't going to leave, I'm not going to put myself in the way where I feel uncomfortable because I spoke my mind. But my friends stayed, and now both know I'm not a fan of cheater, and it will make me put up barriers with the cheater. To me, cheating is a character flaw, and a choice I don't think people do if they love you. This 100% happened to my husband's sister. She temporarily took her husband back and lashed out at anyone she could that she thought was against her husband. She's using you to be angry at instead of her husband. She had to cut contact for a while and she eventually left because her anger was back where it belonged, not the a-hole. No, OP is not the a-hole. It's completely reasonable for OP to have boundaries and not be ready to see their friend's husband after what he did. OP's friends should respect their feelings and understand that it's a personal choice for them. It's important for the OP to prioritize their own well-being and comfort in this situation. The OP has been supportive throughout, even if their best friend may not fully realize it. OP needs to communicate their concerns with their friend and reaffirm their support for her, but also make it clear that their boundaries should be respected. Thanks for watching. Let me know down below if you agree with the verdict. Also, consider checking out my other channel, Star_Vingart, where I post my artwork, and my Etsy, StarVingartCompany, where I sell my art prints and stickers. Bye!